Hey everyone, welcome to the weekend edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. This is our weekend review show where we take a look at various stories that happen throughout the week and dig through them a little bit deeper. Joining me today, we have up on my right side here, Coop Cooper of C&T Designs and Arms.
What's up, guys?
And below him, Mike Piwowarski of the Rundown and Arms Room Radio. And then below me is Charlie Cook, riding shotgun with Charlie, writing shotgun with Charlie, Charlie's Gungrams, and about a million other places across the interwebs. I promised tonight that we're not going to do a reenactment of the musical version of Star Trek Strange New Worlds that came out. Although I got to say, I was really looking forward to making Mike Piwowarski doing the Klingon song, but
Paul, I am dictionary and everything.
I am ready to do Subsonic Rhapsody. Let's get it done.
I gotta say, totally not gun related, but I am an absolute Trek geek. That is one of the most fun episodes of Trek, of all versions of Trek, I've ever seen.
I thought it was going to be horrible, like the what was the TV show, the cop TV show where they used to sing Manimal or whatever the hell it was. But this was fun. You're right. It was Lin-Manuel, whoever the guy who did the Hamilton one did the songs for this. So it was really good. It wasn't bad. It was really nice.
It was. I can't. How are they going to do this? It's going to be just god awful, because how are you going to make sci-fi and a musical work together? And they did it. So
it was a good story. And the Spock got dumped, but other than that, it was a good story.
Well, yeah. All right. As we get started, and I'm getting social media hooked up here. I want to remind everybody, if you want to comment on the show, just comment wherever you're at. A lot of them I get, some of them I don't. If you comment, you don't see your comment get on the air, and you want your comment on the air, slide on over to the Polite Society Podcast Facebook or YouTube channels and comment again, and I'll get those comments up, and we'll make fun of Charlie, or we'll laugh at Mike or something. But we'll get your comment up. So got a lot of check-ins happening. Woods is already checking in. C&T Coop's already checked in, and Warsaw Patriots in. Robert is in, so Gizzard Gary, I see him. Let's go ahead and get started, guys. First story I got up off AmmoLand. Let me see here. I'm going to read just a little bit of the first paragraph. On August 1st, a 3-judge panel for the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit issued an order which found the final rule of the ATF concerning pistol braces to be unlawful. Part of the final rule claimed pistol braces combined with legal pistols made the combination short-barreled rifles subject to the regulatory requirements of the NFA. Case is Mock versus Garland, and basically the thing that they ruled that this is probably unconstitutional. It is definitely illegal, and they sent it back down to the lower court for a decision on what's going to happen with injunctions and that type of thing. Coop, you're one of the people I know that is one of the jeez,
one of the morons. Say it, moron.
One of the more well researched people I know. I know you've been following this. Well, what's your take, man?
Well, it's funny the way the court decided to handle this to a point, because like on my channel, we listen to the oral arguments out of the Fifth, and they were going more after the administrative procedures policies than any kind of Second Amendment argument. And one of the lawyers, I think, for the plaintiffs in here said, well, yeah, we could go after that under the Second Amendment, but that's not the case that we're handling here. So we're looking at purely the administrative rules. And administratively, there's only so much room the ATF has before they start making legislative changes. And that's where this argument falls, is that the ATF is making legislative rules and not just, kind of padding one position or another.
All right. Mike, I'm going to move to you next, man. Have you had a chance to read up on this at all?
Yeah, of course. First off, Paul, I'm curious what happened to the picture of the Virgin Islands. Now we're looking at you sitting in a project somewhere. What's going on there? What is that?
Not quite the projects. That's actually our beautiful downtown. What you are standing on the 8th Street Bridge, looking over the river at the south part of downtown Sioux Falls in that picture.
All right.
So
great. That's all right. Okay.
Virgin Islands is still around.
I just expected more than a couple of 4-story brick buildings to be downtown. But all right. So this pistol brace rule. Listen, we had last week we saw Judge Alito. It got appealed to him, and there was a 3 or 4 day hold on it. We expected this ruling to come Monday, Tuesday. It did come on Tuesday. As Coop already said, the judge found this to be illegal and probably unconstitutional. It's getting sent back down. This is, if you recall, right after the Bruin case came out, there was the EPA versus the state of West Virginia, and it was the same ruling. The EPA had done some interpretive dancing when it came to making new rules and what they wanted to enforce in the state of West Virginia. It made it to the Supreme Court, and they said, "You don't get to make law. You're a federal agency. You don't get to make law. You get to go ahead and execute or enforce what's been passed. You are not the legislative branch, or you're not the judicial branch. So this is again much the same case, and this is where we knew this would come back to. They kind of stayed away constitutionality of it at first and said, you don't have the authority to do this. It's wholly illegal for you to do this. So it's good. It looks like it's going to be sent back down. I've been curious, though. The author seems to be of the belief that the Biden administration can direct appeal this to the Supreme Court unless they've given themselves that power here recently. That's not how you get to the Supreme Court.
You go en banc first, usually.
Yep.
Let's see here. Charlie, I haven't got your take on it yet.
I think it's kind of funny that they're calling it the final rule, and the final rule is in quotes.
Yes.
That's perfect.
We've already decided this. Like, it's the ATF cannot make rules. They're supposed to enforce rules. That's their job. If you've watched Schoolhouse Rock back in the 1970s, there's 3 branches of government, and the ATF does not make the rules. They enforce the rules. So you can't get the branches mixed up. And this is just it's gonna be a urinating contest that keeps going on and on and on and on. And even after it gets to the Supreme Court, very much like the Bruin decision in my home state of Massachusetts, they decided they're not going to pay attention to what the Supreme Court says, and they're going to still going to use the Constitution to wipe their bum with. So it's never going to end. It's never going to end. And ultimately, pistol brace or no pistol brace, collapsible stock, no collapsible stock, whatever, foldable stock, the government can't tell you how to hold your rifle when you shoot it, or your handgun, or your shotgun, or your BB gun, your pea shooter. They can't tell you how to hold your rifle or you hold your firearm when you are shooting it. And this is all, yeah. It's one of those things that makes me say, what else is going on? That they're getting everyone, to focus on this. What else are they really trying to do?
This is one of the few times I'm really disappointed that I don't have an R-rated show, but it is a PG-rated show. So
I'm on my show for that. You can throw plenty of R-rates out there on mine. You can sync my channel. It's okay.
And by the way, Coop, if you would real quickly fire me off or put it in the show notes somewhere, your link to your channel. I'll make sure it gets in.
Yeah.
I'll make sure it gets promoted here. It gets into the comments so people can go check it out if they haven't yet. But let me get some comments in here real quick. And first one from Warsaw Patriot. The NFA needs to be removed under Bruin. Yeah, it's gonna happen. I mean, is it gonna happen today? No. Is it gonna happen this year? No. Is it gonna happen this decade? Maybe. But it is gonna happen.
Well, that's assuming we keep a court that is at least halfway sane. That can
Yes.
at least halfway read and halfway go. Yes, when the sun's up, it's sunny, and yes, when the sun's down and there's no, it's dark. Yes. If you have a court that can't go that way, if they pack it with another 4 justices, then that can change.
Yeah. Next comment, and we get these comments on Saturdays, and on Saturdays I will put them up. Jesus Wins, Bert of Michigan says, Mr. Cooper, you're blue. Now, I don't want any Leanne Rimes songs coming out here, okay?
No, I was thinking more Oompa Loompa. So I need to make it a little bit more purple because I'm kind of short and round.
Let's see here. Warsaw Patriot also has, ATF is making laws out of there, just like the Soviet Union making laws to incriminate people whenever they wanted to. We've got a story coming up that Warsaw Patriot, you're more accurate than you think. Let's see here. George Geller replied to that, said, it's not just the ATF. Other agencies do that same thing. EPA may be the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, ATF's horrible, and I know we'll get into this a little bit when we talk about the other story, so I don't want to go too far, but, having been in the business for many years, they first off, they won't even give you an answer. If you call them and ask for guidance, they'll tell you something, but they will not give it to you in writing. Never, ever, ever will the ATF give you anything in writing unless it comes from their legal department. The IOIs, the agents, nobody will give you an answer because they don't want to give you any reason to be able to get out of doing something that they told you was okay to do. This whole pistol brace rule is that, if you recall, when this started, it was not okay. It was okay. It was not okay. It was okay. Then it was, is it short barrel? It's not short barrel. Can I do this? And like you said, Charlie, it came down to, well, it depends on how I hold it. I mean, if I take a Glock 21 and hold it to my shoulder, does that make it a short barrel rifle? It doesn't make it. Just because you use it that way doesn't redefine what it is. We asked them at one point, and it's very popular now, and this kind of shows my age, how long I've been in the business. When you buy a lower receiver now, it can say auto on it or have the symbol for full auto. And we got told we couldn't do that. We got told we couldn't. I asked them why. It's not a lower. It's not a full auto lower. It's a standard lower, but it looks cool. So we put it on the outside. You can't. People might think it's a full auto lower. And my attorney's response was, well, if I paint wings on my car, does that mean people think it's an airplane? And they actually backed down and let us do it after that example he gave.
But to the ATF, if you paint wings on your car, it's a plane.
Yeah.
You're now under FAA. Yeah.
Right. You don't need a driver's license. You need a pilot's license.
Yeah.
So if I paint it yellow and put a periscope on it, is it now a submarine?
There you go.
According to the people.
As long as you live in it.
Yes.
Yes.
When I was a young man, there was times that
It was close.
it was extremely close.
Right. So this, not unrelated. Hang with me, gents. Did you guys see the story about the guy that turned him into a dog? Did you guys see this story? Yeah. Okay. So
I didn't see that.
Well, don't waste your time. It's ridiculous. But a guy actually spent like $15,000 or some stupid amount of money to turn himself into a dog. He walks on his hands and knees like. It's ridiculous. And he's afraid. The funny thing is, he's afraid his neighbors are going to think that he's weird because he's turned himself to look like a dog. Now, if he's a dog, he should be treated like a dog. Very much like if you have a certain type of firearm, it doesn't necessarily make it so. So if you have, if you've got a lower receiver that says full auto and burst on it, or full auto and full. Let's say fire and burst. It doesn't necessarily mean that. I have an AR with a lower receiver that says Epstein didn't kill himself in the selector switches, right? I bought this in the summer of 2020 when the Epstein memes were going crazy. I bought one for Rob Campbell and I sent it to him, and it was an 80% lower. But so I have one of those, and it obviously doesn't mean that Epstein didn't kill himself. But just because it has something on it doesn't mean that's what it is. And I'm sure you guys remember watching old Clint Eastwood movies, and I can't remember if it was. I don't think it was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I'm not sure if it was one of the other two that he did with Angel Eyes there. What are the other ones called? A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More.
Right.
The guy pulls out a single action revolver, puts a stock on it, and holds it to his shoulder and shoots it. These guns have been around since cowboy times. You've had guns that you can put stocks on and take stocks off of, and it doesn't turn the 45, the 45 long Colt handgun into a rifle.
No. Well, think about this, and this is getting kind of into the AR receivers, but AKs are a gun that I'm big on. I love them. I love building them. I love their operation. But the ATF was trying to say you couldn't have the Y stamping on a sheet metal AK receiver because that marked the place of where that third pin would go for the auto sear. So therefore, if you had the Y stamping, it was a machine gun.
Yeah.
So apparently I can just write machine gun on it, and it'll be a machine gun.
That's right. And all of this, if you ask them when they get that in writing, they say, we'll get back to you. And you never hear from them again.
Yes.
That's the way to make you have to go away, by the way, is ask them, can I get that in writing?
You should know this, Mike, because apparently you've been in situations where it was in writing. You couldn't do a certain thing a certain way. But if you did the thing the other way, well, then you were good. And the ATF doesn't want to be in that corner.
We used to take shovels, square shovels, and hang them on the wall at the gun shop and say they were AK 80% receivers.
They are, basically.
Let me get this one in from Warsaw Patriot. I remember PSA was making a lower with AR-14 engraved on them. They even made Chinese balloon engravings on them.
Nice.
Yep.
So is that
PSA has a bunch of great ones.
Is the balloon engraving fire or safe? or it's probably in stealth mode, right?
There you go.
Another example is World War I and World War II German broom handle Mauser pistol with its stock. You can store the pistol inside and use as a stock.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't make it a rifle because it's got a stock on it.
That's right.
But this is the insanity we run into when we let the government start to define firearms. Because you're still talking about under the definition of a handgun, it's designed, redesigned, made, remade to be fired with one hand, right? Well, who teaches shooting strictly with one hand these days?
Even with handguns, you don't shoot with one hand, generally.
Yeah, right. We're always taught that two-hand grip, control recoil, back on target. The only time we're taught in offhand shooting is, hey, is this arm's damaged, or you've got to shift around something. There's some sort of workaround where you've got to fire offhand. We're taught that in an emergency, not as the practice.
Yeah, or you're playing the trumpet.
Yeah.
But that's still the definition. Yeah, that's still the definition of a handgun. When you look it up, though, made, remade, yada yada, to be fired with one hand. That's the definition of a handgun.
All right, let's get on to our next story. This one I don't know if we'll spend a lot of time on, but we could. We continue to buy guns at more than $1 million a month. More than 50 million guns have been bought in the last 4 years. 48 months now, we've gone more than 1 million guns a month. Total of more than 50 million over 4 years. We covered this 2 months ago when it was 46, and I thought we were going to hit 48. I thought we were going to be able to go full 4 years. We have. Guys, I don't see this letting up until there's another president in the White House and both the Democratic House and Senate. That's the only time this will let up is what I think. What do you guys think? I'm going to go reverse order. Charlie, is this letting up anytime soon?
I hope not. I hope not, because we all know that more guns equal less crime. And the more people that arm themselves, the more people that are willing to protect themselves, the more people that are willing to get some education and some training, the better off the country is going to be. The safer people are going to be. So let's hope it doesn't let up. Absolutely. I mean, it's obviously good for the gun businesses. Gun businesses, and instructors and everybody. So yeah, rock on. Like the more people we have, and the more gun owners we have, the more people we can. I don't want to say sway to our way of thinking, but at least become conscious about the way things are going politically, and maybe say, hey, this is a bunch of baloney that these people. This is all infringement. Like I'm a new gun owner, and I went to the range and I saw somebody shooting an AR, and they didn't kill anybody, or I saw somebody, with an AR with a collapsible stock and the evil features of an assault weapon. Sorry, and they were normal people, and they let me shoot it, and it was kind of fun, and I think I want to buy one. Like this is how we get more people in the fold.
Very cool, Mike. Are we going to continue? Are we going to see 60 months of $1 million a month?
Listen, it's going to pick back up. Right now, the gun industry at the dealer level is very slow, and a lot of dealers are struggling at this point. It's the summer. It's normally the summer. We're coming off a couple of excited, political issuances over the past couple of years. It's a slow summer out there for gun sales. Yet continuing to sell at over a million, background checks a month. By the way, don't tell my wife how many guns are being sold. She'll want to know how many I bought, and I'm not.
Large market share.
Now, listen, my biggest fear is that when I die, my wife sells my guns for what I told her I paid for them. That's the big fear for me.
Yeah, that one's gonna be rough.
Well, and I happen to know where you are, so I'll be the first. When I see the death notification, I'm on a plane, man. I'm gone. Sarah, Florida, here I come.
Let me just take that $200 gun off your hands, there, ma'am. Let me help you.
Right. There's nothing we can do for Mike now, but the least I can do is give you a couple $100.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, none of us have ever done that before. And my belief is that this 50 million or 48 million, this million a month, it's more than that. We know that. When you go fill out a 4473, if you decide you're having more than one, if you're just getting one firearm, two firearms, multiple firearms, you're getting multiple receivers, you're buying strip receivers, and you just put it down. They just log that as a sale. They don't log that as how many per sale or how many in the multiples. Yeah. Only the local ATF agent gets to know how many multiple handguns you purchase. But I buy multiple rifles or shotguns or multiple receivers. It's logged as one sale as far as they're concerned at NICS. So this could be twice as high. These numbers really could be for the number of firearms that are actually going home during the background checks. And that's public sales, FFLs. Don't even get me started on 80% receivers and private sales.
Yeah, I was just going to say private sales. Private sales don't have to go through an FFL, certainly in free America, and even in occupied territory. But those don't have 4473s and background checks.
Right. Yeah, these are the background checks that have been run that the government can connect to someone that's possibly going to purchase a firearm. That has nothing to do with guys like me. The last 7 firearms that I have, I either bought one from a person-person sale or I built the other ones. So those are all new firearms that aren't connected to 4473s. And then it doesn't count, say, someone inheriting guns from somebody. Say their grandfather or their father dies. They inherit their collection. There's so many new gun owners coming into the fold these days. And I say coming into the fold kind of is just a funny thing, but they're starting to see, and hopefully that they will see more, that these things aren't just raining down from the gods and we just go pick them up out of the streets, and then all of a sudden when we pick them up, we become mass murderers. There's a process you go through to get one of these. There's a personal responsibility once you own one of these, and if you decide to seek training, that there are outlets out there where you can go get some very good training for owning these new firearms. And there's way more out there than the government can even think of, right?
Yeah. There's if this was really about the background check, not to go too far down a rabbit hole, if this was really about the legitimacy of background checks, the ATF would be doing this differently. It's not. This is about the firearm. I'll explain this. Is when the ATF has a program. If I just met you, Coop, and you seem like a good guy, but I don't know if you got a background or not, you and I can walk over to a local dealer and I could say, hey, I want to get a background check on this guy because I want to sell him this gun. The first thing the dealer is going to do, per the federal guidelines, is ask for the gun. And they're going to take the gun, enter it into their books, then they're going to sell it to you off their books, and that serial number will now be back in the we know where the gun is kind of category. If this was about the individual and about the background, I should be able to walk into that dealer with you or anybody and go, I want to get a background check on this guy so I can make a gun sale to him. If they didn't care about the gun, they would not be writing down the gun serial number. They want to know where these guns are. They don't care what your background is.
I mean, you can go through various services and run background checks on someone, whether you want them to clean your home, whether you want them to babysit your children, wash your car. If they want to come do work for you on your property, you can run background checks on them. So why shouldn't it be that easy? There's an app on my phone, if the government's really worried about it, where if I'm going to sell a gun to Mike or Charlie and, hey, we're sitting there and we're all looking, well, I want this gun and you want that, we could run background checks and then we could do our thing. It would be as simple as any app.
All I need to know is whether I can sell a gun to you. It's like the airlines do with the no-fly list.
Yes.
There should be a no-buy list that I can access and go, whoop, you're on the no-buy list. Sorry, I can't sell it to you.
100%.
Absolutely. We had a comment in here, and Woods is just hit the nail on the head right here. Woods, you're absolutely right. Pro tip, her shoes / purses, handbags cost more than she lets on, too.
Oh, I'm not saying I don't know how to
tip.
I'm just saying I don't want to have to answer it, I don't want to do the dance at all.
Right. It's, you know what, buying a $40 or $50 pair of shoes is, you can do it here. It's only $40. It's only $40. It's only $40. And then all of a sudden, 5 pairs of shoes equal a gun.
But remember, Charlie, it's not a $40 pair of shoes. It's they saved you $70 on that pair of shoes.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah.
They're
I got to hang over Mike. Mike's on point.
Right.
You know,
I could have spent $70
I'm looking forward to.
more
I saved my wife $1.3 million on that A10. I mean,
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Minor damage, little stuff on the wheel. Scratch and dent sale.
Let's.
It was a blemish.
Blem. It's a blem. I'll take the blem.
It was a blemish.
Right. It was discounted to sell. I mean, what was I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Look how much it saved you.
All right. Next one, story off of Ammo Land. This is the story we were teasing earlier about the AFT retaliation. ATF shuts down FFL after gun store sues the same ATF. This is Valley City, North Dakota. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives has revoked both federal firearms licenses belonging to a gun shop that sued the government over the now dead frame and receiver rule. Morehouse Enterprises in North Dakota teamed up with Gun Owners of America to fight the ATF's attempt to regulate unfinished frames and receivers through bureaucrat fiat. The ATF created a rule in response to a White House order to ban 80% arms that President Joe Biden calls ghost guns. The lawsuit was the first case in the country to challenge the now vacated rule. So what does ATF do? They go do a deep dive into this place's books. They find 5 errors for, I think it was a lot of years. But then we're talking months after this lawsuit is filed. They yank both FFLs that this business has, despite the fact that they couldn't find any errors on one of the FFLs, any errors at all. So, this is, sue the ATF, you're going to lose your FFL, is the way I see it. Coop, we're going to start with you again, man. Have you looked at this one yet?
Yeah, and it's another classic case of how dare you stand up to me? I'm your bully. I want your lunch money. I want your milk money, and how dare you stand up to me? So yeah, this FFL has 2 locations. So one location had, I think, 4 errors. 2 were very, very minor paperwork errors. One was the worst error I could see was they transferred a handgun to someone with a Georgia driver's license. And for those of you who don't realize, if I go, even though I'm in Alabama, I'm 15 minutes away from Georgia, even though I live that close, if I go to Georgia and I buy a handgun, I can't transfer that, or they can't transfer that gun directly to me. It has to be sent to an FFL in Alabama, and then I can take receipt. If it's a rifle or a shotgun or long gun, I can go ahead and take receipt. So these were very, very simple things. This wasn't them selling, ARs that they had purposely turned into machine guns out the back of a truck or anything like that. They were very, very simple issues that the ATF still couldn't prove that any sort of actual crime happened from. So this is completely punitive. This is our government stomping its feet like playing Monopoly with a 6-year-old, and you win and they slap the board and tell you, no, you still lose because we're the government. That's what this is.
Yeah.
I want to get this in from Warsaw Patriot. The ATF needs to be disbanded. The FBI does the 4473 forms, not the ATF. Hell, the FBI should be arresting the ATF for what they've been doing. I like that idea, Warsaw Patriot.
That is, and we set them up in a ring together and just let them go at it.
Cage
like
match.
WWE cage match.
Yes.
You got the ATF guy coming down the rope with Yeah, we could set that up. It'd be perfect.
Do a Mick Foley and do a Mick Foley and go off the top of the cage and through the folding table.
My only request is there has to be at least one dog filled with tannerite in the middle of the ring. But someone from the ATF is fixing to lose it.
Oh, Mike! Wow, did we go left there, Mike? What's your thoughts, bud? And I go to Mike to rescue us. What am I thinking?
Yeah,
there we go. The FBI wouldn't arrest the ATF if they had secret documents in a Corvette or cocaine in the White House. So don't even bother.
Oh yeah, you're right. Mike, gotta go with reality.
This is ludicrous what they did to this store. This store had 2,700 firearms on hand, and all 2,700 were available for inspection and proven to be on hand. Even places I've been where they come in the day of a sale, it still takes a day to move paperwork around and transfer a gun from being present to being on paper. They had 2,400 gun transactions over the past year. Every one of them accounted for. The IOI told them, wow, you've done stellar here. I don't see any problems with these couple of tiny little minor issues. One of those minor issues being that the person transposed the information on the form. He put the Social Security number where the NICS number was supposed to go, the NICS number where the Social Security number was supposed to go. I can't tell you the number of times it has type of ID and number on ID that I've reversed those from driver's license to the number and put them in the wrong box, and nobody cares. All right, it's absolutely insane what they did to this dealer, and it's what this administration learned from Big Daddy Obama, right? Let's send the IRS to go after conservative nonprofits, right? Let's send the DOJ to examine people at school board meetings that object to our wokeness and make them listed as domestic terrorists. It is. I'm sorry. I mean, I'll open my dictionary, my thesaurus, whatever you want. It's the definition of tyranny that's going on. As we're talking FFL, I want to point out, because we did talk about pistol braces and 80% receivers so far tonight, that dealers are still not allowed to sell them. Even though you and I in the public and the laws have come down and the injunctions have come down, the ATF has still told them, don't care, you answer to us, I'll pull your license, you're not allowed to sell them.
Yeah. Charlie, your turn, man.
My question is this: has the ATF ever lost any firearms anywhere?
Oh yes! Oh my God, yes!
Yeah,
That would
Okay.
never
All right.
happen.
It's a few months ago here in Massachusetts, there was in one of the towns just a little north of Boston, in a state trooper vehicle, a patrol rifle with a large capacity magazine was stolen by some kids. Dude, the state police can't even hold on to their patrol rifles, and patrol rifles is a Jedi mind trick for an AR-15 with a pistol grip, a collapsible stock, a flash hider, and a bayonet lug. 4 out of the 5 things that would make it an assault weapon. So the cops have assault weapons, but they don't call them assault weapons. The ATF loses guns all of the time, and nothing. So it's the person that can't be responsible looking to someone else and saying, "Hey, you're not responsible." Dude, this is the mirror, and this is you.
Yes.
I remember a story not all that long ago. It's been less than a year, I'll almost guarantee that, where the ATF had a private security firm handling the security for their weapons storage area in New Jersey. And guess what? The reason that it was busted, that they were losing quite literally tons of guns out of this place, is the security guard that was lifting them got pulled over in a traffic stop in New Jersey.
All right, well, there we go.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of firearms. They'd found this guy was responsible for disappearing.
And you're not talking about 6-shot revolver Saturday night specials for the most part. No. This guy's losing some quality firearms. Hey, they're just gone. And they got him for not locking them up, for leaving them on top of lockers, all kinds of stuff. It's our government. What can we say?
I got to get to Warsaw Patriot is just on fire. I got to get some of these comments in. I have a better idea. If Ron DeSantis and that happened in his state, he'd probably send in the National Guard. Or better, no, send in the United States Marine Corps against the ATF.
You know, this rule of it's an ATF. It's actually in the law. It's an asinine rule. It says that when you sell a gun as an FFL, you have to make sure 2 things: 1, that where they stand, it's legal for them to have the gun, and 2, where they live, it's legal for them to have the gun. So that you're required to do that. But like in Cooper's case, crossing state line 15 minutes away, all of a sudden now it's important. Here's how asinine it is that the ATF can't. In their federal guidelines, the state line now means something to them, right? Now I can conduct a federal background check on a federal form and allow you to take this firearm home, but because it's over that state line, and where it's legal, let's go where it's presumptively legal for you to have that firearm, like it was for this gentleman in Georgia. That's all of a sudden an issue for them. It's ridiculous. Now the one time that a state line makes a big deal to an ATF agent is when you did something wrong, not when they did.
And the whole thing is, if it would have been an 18-inch barreled AR, it would have been absolutely legal. Not so much with a 5-inch Glock barrel.
Yeah, 16-inch barrel rifle would have been legal.
The background on that story, to this guy's credit, Georgia's one of those states. If you have a background, you have a concealed card or a firearms ID, you don't have to do the background check. Their state says you don't have to do the background check because it proves you have it. Florida, we still have to do it because they don't know if it got suspended yesterday or something like that. But in Georgia, if you've got it, you don't have to do it. So they knew that. And they said, well, the guy's from Georgia. He doesn't have to have a background check. Therefore, he must be allowed to have this. That's the conclusion they made.
It was like Alabama, we can't use our carry permits for our background checks because there were a bunch of our sheriffs that got caught not running background checks and just issuing permits for money, and then some were holding them back. They tore completely up. So we can't do that. We got to run our background checks.
That's encouraging that the people that are supposed to enforce the law aren't following the law.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these were the sheriffs when they went to talking about constitutional carry in Alabama, which we finally have. These were a lot of the sheriffs standing up there going, we can't go to permitless carry because we need the money from these permits because this is where all of our equipment comes from. We buy our guns from this. We buy our trucks from this. So wait a second. You're telling me, hold on, it's not about a criminal getting a gun. It's about you getting money in your pocket. Funny how that works.
Yeah. The extra money in the pocket.
That's what they were worried about, the extra money in the pocket. Because we did that story, too, and we looked at the numbers. We're like, the guy's only getting a couple hundred permit applications a year. How's he buying cars with that? You know, these $1,000 permits? What is he doing? And that's exactly what he was doing. A little bit of bonus out the back door, a little bit of front-of-line treatment.
That's it. They got caught doing that with money in and out of prisons for the food to go to prison. They didn't spend so much out of their budget for that. They pocketed it.
So I know you want to move on, Paul, but didn't in Washington State a couple years ago, didn't they want to add a $25 fee onto gun licenses to put money towards gun safety and victims of gun violence and all this sort of stuff?
I believe
so. If the police aren't taking that, if they're not taking that money and they're not putting it to what it's supposed to be allotted to, this is aggravating.
You're right. Government, man. You're right. It's bureaucracy. It's all about this. It's not about your freedom, not about your rights. It's about what can I get from me in my position, and in some cases for me and my party in our position. That's all it's about.
Let's get comments in here. I'm not necessarily moving on, but I got a couple of great comments I want to get in here. Robert reminds us they left a bunch of triggers they confiscated as machine guns sitting unguarded in a parking lot. And they didn't even tell me where that parking lot was.
A pallet full of them.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes. Sitting there unguarded, supposedly machine guns.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And the gun foodie, Patrick Collins. Length and lethality are two very different things. Accessories do not increase intent. And oh, by the way, Patrick Collins is scheduled for the Bullet next Saturday. So tune in next Saturday, and Patrick will be gracing one of the three screens here that join me.
Right.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes, but when Joe Biden comes out and says when you put a high cap magazine on it, it makes the bullet bigger. It's a larger caliber.
Yeah.
What?
Oh. No, that was the pistol brace. When you put the pistol brace on the pistol, it shoots a larger caliber. It's more lethal. It has a higher capacity from this piece of plastic that I got sitting on 3 guns back there, and none of them have become a Barrett 50 cal yet. I try to water them.
They're still stuck at that. They're still stuck at that 9mm lung blower outer stage, right?
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Or the most destructive, the 5.56. That's just it was made to penetrate an enemy helmet at 300 meters and take their whole head off during Vietnam. That's what the 223 was.
As long as it's a blue helmet.
Hey, brother, when they show up, I'm slinging a whole lot more than 5.56.
That's where my A10 comes in. I'm telling you.
That's right. Aim for the
It'll
blue.
Be nice to have all that new equipment. Look, they brought me an APC.
I got to get this one in from Brent. The Big Mag makes it fully semi-auto. And thank goodness you only got, because you don't want that shoulder thing that goes up with it. I mean, that...
No.
Katie, bar the door.
Look at that.
I got to tell you, it's great. It's honestly, it's great to have people like Brent that have been around for a long time and get all these jokes and these references. I know some of the new people that I'm friends with that are relatively new to gun stuff. They don't get these jokes about the shoulder thing that goes up, and you know, it's really funny. So you gotta go back and explain it to them. Send them a video, right?
Let me get one more in from Patrick. Pistol brace, the Viagra for short barrels.
That is. I need a T-shirt. I need a T-shirt right now.
All right,
T-shirt.
Somebody get a hold of Yehuda.
Yes, right. Which I got some work going on for Yehuda right now. Yehuda has got to do that T-shirt.
It's late enough. It's late enough. He should be able to be watching.
Yeah, it's after. It's after. No, it's not after sundown yet in the Central Time Zone. So
No,
when you catch this on the replay, and I hope you do, Yehuda, there you go. Let's, this next one, we cover something like this a lot. Democrats demand 1,000% excise tax on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, in my best Charlie Cook impression there.
You need an announcer's voice.
More than 24 House Democrats put forward legislation Friday that would slap an assault weapons and high-capacity magazines with a 1,000% excise tax, a change that would raise the price of a $500 weapon to $5,000 in a bid to reduce access to guns across the country. Representative Don Bayer from Virginia, guess which party he's from, and 24 other House Democrats introduced the legislation Friday. It's the second time Democrats have put forward the idea. Where this is going in a House dominated by Republicans is absolutely nowhere. This is more DOA than Epstein. There's just no way this is going to go anywhere. And should it happen to go somewhere, I got a one phrase for them: poll tax.
This has been submitted before. I covered this in, I think, 2001.
Yeah,
they submitted very much like this when Democrats had control of almost everything, and it still didn't go anywhere. So as long as you have one speed bump of a halfway jelly Republican to stop it, then it probably won't go anywhere at all.
It's more virtue signaling. It is the Democrats wanting their constituents to know that they're still anti-gun, and they know it's going to go nowhere. It went nowhere last year. It's going to definitely go nowhere this year. Now that the Republicans have control, it's unconstitutional as well. Let's just mention the story out of Seattle where they tried to put a $25 fee or tax or penalty or whatever the hell they ended up terming it. This is the same thing. You cannot do this, and I still believe that time they go out and they author a law that they know to be constitutional, that qualified immunity should apply to them as instead of total immunity, and they should be charged with fraud, waste, and abuse, because it's wasting the government's time, it's wasting taxpayer time, and if by miracle it happens to slip through, then we got to fight it on the opposite side. These people should be going to jail for filing these type of laws.
Yes. At the very least, they should be put out of office and never allowed to hold a public office ever again. I don't give whether it's a dog catcher in a 2-dog town and he knows both the dogs. No, you still can't hold that position.
Right.
This completely reminds me of the Chris Rock thing, where he's like, you know what we should do to end gun violence? We should charge $5,000 a bullet.
Yeah.
You know,
that was
Yeah, and I don't know if they came up with this idea or Chris Rock came up with the idea, but this is exactly what it reminds me of.
Well, he was comics like so many others. He was making fun of a lot of the stuff that was being proposed at the time because he knows good and well, yes, it's making fun of it because it's not going to stop it. Do you think that gangbanger cares how much money he stole to buy the bullets he's going to use to kill an innocent person? Do you think they factor it in? They're sitting down like doing the bills. Well, I can only afford to kill 2. Well, hold the one. No, it's not how that's not how it works.
Well,
not at all.
Unless Daddy Bloomberg gets out the checkbook, then you know.
Oh yeah.
Well, yes, he would certainly be able to afford to shoot. Of course, he'd be shooting a small gun. Because he's a tiny.
Yeah.
All right, let's let me see here. Pulling up the next story we got here, a Cam Edwards story off Bearing Arms. He writes, well, at least scrutiny by one Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito, who oversees emergency appeals coming out of the Fifth Circuit Court, granted a brief administrative stay last week to the Fifth Circuit's decision halting enforcement of major portions of the ATS rule, treating unfinished frames and receivers as if they're completed firearms. Alito gave parties till the end of the day Wednesday to submit briefs in support or opposition to the Fifth Circuit decision, and we could learn as early as today, although we didn't, whether the justice will issue a ruling himself or whether refer the whole matter to the full court for review, although Alito's administrative stay doesn't expire until the end of business on Friday. Coop, once again, you're well connected. As far as you're well informed on this stuff. I'm going to start with you, Bud. What's your thoughts on what Alito did?
I see Alito when he stopped this, giving it enough time to where he can confer with some other justices. But I do believe this ends up in the Supreme Court's lap very, very soon. And as long as the court having the composition that it has right now, I don't think Joe Biden and the ATF are going to be all that happy when these justices come down and say that the definition of a firearm frame, or a firearm receiver has a very hard line there. And as long as that line is not crossed, then you can't count it to be a firearm frame or receiver. The ATF wanted to go as far as saying for something to be a firearm frame or receiver, it had to be readily convertible to be a firearm frame or receiver. And their definition of readily convertible, get this, was 8 hours in a fully staffed machine shop. In a fully staffed machine shop, I could melt down every beer can I have around my house, and I could make you an AR receiver out of it in 8 hours in a fully staffed machine shop. So I think the Supremes are going to take this, and I think they are going to do some serious smacking around of the ATF.
As long as it's not Bud Light, it should be fine.
No. That's all like Keystones and stuff like that.
All right.
I had a buddy threaten to buy me Bud Light the other day because of welding work I did for him. I threatened his life, so no, we're okay.
Mike, you're up next, man. What's your thoughts other than you're not drinking Bud Light? I don't see any cans behind you anyway.
The cans are over in the fridge over there, and it's just for we got a lawyer that visits the studio here, and he likes those triple IPA stuff. So they might as well be Bud Light as far as I'm concerned, but that kind of nonsense. But in fact, it's in this fridge right here.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen, this was we knew this little blip was going to happen with we've seen the Fifth Circuit. We know how they're dealing. They've already signaled what they're going to say. I'd love to see the Supremes take this, and if they do take it, I think it's going to be more of like the EPA versus West Virginia thing. It's not going to be about the Second Amendment to them. It's going to be about the legality of this federal agency deciding that they could reinterpret and create new laws. I think that's how this is going to get played.
Yeah, very possible.
Charlie, what do you think, man?
So I was reading through it. I think it's kind of interesting that they compared it to buying a shelf unit or buying furniture, whatever, at IKEA. But I started thinking. I actually thought about this a few months ago because I thought the same sort of thing. And how can we put the two of these things together? But when you buy stuff at IKEA, all of the parts are there and all of the holes are drilled. Right? You don't have to take out. You don't have to take out a drill. It's obviously made for people that have a hammer and a screwdriver, and that's it. So you can't, even though you know what you're buying at IKEA and it's got all of the stuff there, all the parts you need. It's not quite the same. And then I thought it was good too because we have to, in order to get people on our side about this, we have to compare it to things that they would get and understand. So IKEA is a good one, but they also went in the article, they also went into talking about how it's very much like getting a taco kit at the grocery store. You get the taco kit that's got the hard shells and the soft shells, and it's got the sauce in it and the sauce. Then you have to go buy the meat. Then you have to go buy some cheese. You got to get some tomatoes. You got to get some lettuce if you want to have that in there. So you have to go to different places to buy all this stuff and put everything together. It's the same sort of thing. And this is one of the things I compare at school when I say when I go home, I'm hungry and I look at all the food that I have. I look at bread. I look at the peanut butter and jelly. I look at the chips that I have. I look at the lettuce and and I said what it is I want something to eat, but I don't want to put everything together, And it's the same sort of thing. You've got all these different parts. You've got to take some time to put it together. It does take some skill in order to put these things together. And I'm a guy that can barely work a drill. So when I may have been working on one of these at possibly at GRPC last year with maybe Rob Pincus, he's like, dude, you can totally drill straight through. I'm like, I don't know if I can put the drill all the way through both sides of the frame. He's like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I'm like, dude, I have no drill skills.
There's a difference in these. Talking about 80% receivers. If you get one of the polymer 80s, the handgun kits, that's the kind of thing that. Listen, it doesn't take too long, and you might screw it up, and it still may work. But if you go get yourself one of these AR aluminum 80% receivers, I mean, listen, you go to the store, you buy yourself a drill press, and 99 times out of 100 you're going to screw it up. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Short of a CNC machine getting down to the thousandth of an inch, it's not going to work. If your trigger and hammer pinholes are a thousandth of an inch out of spec in the wrong direction, your hunk of aluminum is just that now, a hunk of aluminum. The polymer 80, polymer 80 is a little bit simpler. You hand drills, you could kind of do it. They still recommend doing on a drill press. But either way, I don't care what the ATF says. It's been my right to build my own firearm since the inception of this country, and I'm not going to listen to their reinterpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm right there.
That's where you get into this argument where, like I said, they wanted to call it readily convertible, being 8 hours in a fully staffed machine shop. So then they're arguing about time. Well, now we can get the time back. Well, maybe it's under an hour. Well, this is where I would have liked to have seen, 2 years ago when they were testifying this hearing on ghost guns, a senator walked down to the table of Josh Shapiro and the other ones and put them all kits down with a drill press right next to them and go, I want a functioning gun in 20 minutes. Knock it out.
Yeah.
Show me what you got.
Yeah.
Because you're the one saying that anybody can do this and that these criminals are just popping these things out like hotcakes. Yeah, come on.
I'll even let them bring their staff in as long as each person works on their own unit.
Yeah. But what did they do? They bought the guns from JSD Supply. Josh Shapiro did. He transferred them to the ATF, let the ATF build them, and then they shot them and then talked about how easy it was for these guns to shoot.
Well, guys, we are coming up on the time we have today. I'm going to start with you, Coop. Talk about your channel CNT Designs and Arms, and how people can find you and what you've been up to, man.
CNT Designs and Arms, hopefully have my FFL coming a little after the first of next year. I do a lot of plasma art, as you can see from all this crazy MVE symbols hanging behind me. Hopefully be starting my own gun building, own gunsmithing business. And on my channel, we typically go over Senate hearings, congressional hearings, oral arguments in the courts about all the stuff concerning the Second Amendment. And even though it might be a little peripherally off the side of it, but I like people to know how these laws are constructed, where they came from, and how they will actually work and function, so that people are more informed about this hunk of metal and plastic and how it relates to their actual freedoms and the operation of government. It's a new one.
All right. Mike, how was Arms Room Radio today, and anything else you want to plug, bud?
Oh, great show today. We're Saturdays 3 to 5 p.m. You can go to armsroomradio.com and listen to the live feed there, or look at the website and track us down, see what city we're on near you. And if we're not on the city near you, on a real radio station, let them know and let us know, and we'll work on it for you. The Rundown comes on daily at 6 p.m. Myself and co-host Craig DeLuz, running for Congress in California's 6th Congressional District there. We missed a few days this week. Craig's on vacation in Hawaii, which I guess is something that you people on the West Coast do. I mean, go to Hawaii. For us on the East Coast, might as well be going to Mongolia. It's that far away. So check out armsroomradio.com and then go to therundown.us. on YouTube, Oplands, and everywhere else.
Well, and I understand the gun laws in Hawaii are very similar to the gun laws in Mongolia as well.
Oh boy, listen, I've been to Mongolia, and the gun laws there are actually pretty cool. In Hawaii, they just decided you can't carry a gun on a beach. And I told Craig, well, now I got to get rid of my Speedo and my shoulder holster.
I was going to say, how do you do that inside the waistband on a Speedo? Kind of like rubber band.
I suck it in a lot.
I tried it once, guys. You have to make sure the gun's in the front.
Oh, yeah.
That would help. That would help.
PG-13, guys. PG-13.
How you tell us?
Charlie, riding shotgun with Charlie, writing shotgun with Charlie, and anything else.
Yeah, I'm always looking for more people to subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch videos. I interview everybody from Alan Gottlieb to Masada Ayub to Mike Piwowarski. So it's all the cool people in the gun community I've had on the show. You can listen to the show as a podcast. You can check out repurposed shows at our Armed Lifestyle magazine. My most recent episode, our most recent issue, an Armed Lifestyle magazine, is with Hickok 45. I've got a show coming out this week with the guys from the Gun Owners Action League podcast. It's called the Gold Podcast, or the local guys. And there's a great article by John Petrolino on Bearing Arms about a weekend about a month ago where John and I went down to Farmville, Virginia, and went and did some sporting clays with Cam Edwards, which was just a great weekend, like a dream come true, bucket list item. So you can also find articles at news2a.com as well. So I'm trying to be everywhere and keep up with everybody.
Very, very cool. On my end, this wraps up my broadcasting week. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. Monday is Polite Society Podcast. Tuesday through Thursday next week, more episodes of The Bullet where we'll break down the news of the day. And Friday is legal. Wow, I got my voice back at me. Friday's Legal Friday with Alex Uli, but Alex isn't going to be there this week, so we're going to try to find somebody that has the legal chops to cover for Alex and get them in on this Friday. That's going to do it for now, folks. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you all for commenting. Podcast listeners, thank you for listening. Please do consider joining us live some Saturday evening, 7 p.m. in the Central Time Zone, the only time zone that matters. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time.